Broadcasting from Oklahoma, the tornado capital of the world, home of the Oklahoma City Thunder and the University of Oklahoma Sooners. This is the Curated Experience Show, a weekly podcast about the customer experience with viewpoints you will not hear anywhere else. And now your host, author, and customer experience expert, Amos Tanuma.
Welcome to the Curated Experience. I am your host, Amos Tanuma.
And my partner in crime, Bob Furness. Bob, are you still with me?
I'm here, Amos, as always. I'm here for you, buddy.
Good morning. Good morning. I think we've said this before. We do these on Fridays, the end of the week. I think you'll agree it's a good capper to a week. So we're always looking forward to this. So let's jump right in. Today I want to talk about channels in general, as it relates to, the contact center. So let me first back up to OmniChannel. So Bob, I heard you, I don't know how many years now, it feels like 5 years ago, and you were like, OmniChannel or die. Not your exact words.
It was, actually. I wrote an article named that. I absolutely did.
I thought so. Like, you were there. So here we are. It's 2020 now. That was in the 2015-16 era. Here we are. First, where as OmniChannel's time come and gone? Are we still on that journey? Give us an update on the state of OmniChannel.
Well, I could probably think of some way to play off of the word OmniChannel or die, but since we're in these crazy times in the world, I won't make any kind of rash things that you have to then cut out of this. Right. But OmniChannel or die is probably still reality. It's just taking a hard right curve, in my opinion. If you think about the reality of what OmniChannel is. And I was on a call this past week with somebody from our marketing team that's implementing Marketing Cloud and e-commerce. And when somebody mentioned OmniChannel, they perked up and started thinking about it through the lens of marketing and e-commerce. And we're thinking not about telephony and chat, but about, e-commerce through a website or e-commerce through an app or e-commerce through versus the brick and mortar. So I think OmniChannel has a bunch of meanings. What we're talking about is this concept that how do I make all of my channels work together? And I think that it's probably even more important. I made a purchase from a really large, I'll just say it was from Walmart this past week, and had a problem with the package when it arrived. It had been damaged, and I got online to try to talk to somebody about what the steps are, and it pops up and says, you have it, would you like us to call you back? It'll be an hour and 20 minutes. Yikes. Or would you like for us to chat with you? It'll be 57 minutes. So what's interesting about that was, which one I chose, the chat, right?
All right.
So you offloaded me to a cheaper channel. So that's interesting about it. We used to have to we used to have to finagle and try to manage how do we get you to a cheaper channel. With everything that's going on with COVID in the world of customer service, perhaps not only has the customer decided that digital is better, as I did,
right,
but the company is now able to give options that perhaps was a little bit harder to give in the past, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's that kind of deal, right? So maybe it's an opportunity for a win-win. It's cheaper for them, faster for you. You want digital anyway. Maybe it sort of converges, but stay on that.
Well, to keep that story, what's interesting about it is, so I went that path, and I have to admit that I've got, I've ordered a spray washer. There's oil coming into the box. I've got this really somewhat hard problem, right? this multifaceted problem. And I thought I really should talk to somebody because I can tell the story better. I can talk about it as opposed to typing into a chat window. What was amazing is that they were right on top of it. Like, she solved my problem. She listened to me. She gave me empathy. Everything about the experience was a great experience. So the next time I'm talking to Walmart, I'm in. I'm never talking to Walmart again, right? I'll chat with somebody every time.
Yeah,
So
they've converted you.
we also have this opportunity where when people choose a digital channel, that we've got to do it well. And
Right.
she did everything down from while I'm on the phone. She says, while I'm on the chat, she goes, check your email to make sure you receive the return. So she's able to work multiple channels also.
Yeah, and that's so key. I want to come back to Omni, but while you're on this topic of voice, I got an email that prompted this conversation about telephony. And stop me if you've heard this before, but this is the end of the phone call. Voice is dying, right? And I feel like throughout my career I've been hearing this. So, staying on that track, we've had prior obituaries of the voice of the voice channel, which turned out to be exaggerated. And here we go again. I do want to say, both anecdotally and hard data is showing that there is more adoption of even digital channels now because the telephone's been overwhelmed, right? Like, I mean, every company is, particularly in the height of the crisis, just couldn't handle it. And so they were doing more and more digital, and you've seen that firsthand. So here we go again. Will this obituary stick? Will there be an actual significant net decline in voice?
Well, I think Mark Twain was the one who said that how did he put it? He said the report of my death was great exaggeration.
Yeah,
right? We're great exaggerated.
Yeah.
I think we're there again. And if voice is over, then somebody needs to tell the customers that we talk to in the consulting world that voice is over, because I'm working on a project right now with a company that is choosing a new cloud telephony system. And when you ask them about digital channels, what they say is, "Oh, it's coming in the future. Yes, we want to know about how to manage digital email." Oh, well, yes, we have email, but we don't really believe that it's a valid channel. We don't want it to be a valid channel. And oh, by the way, we want the most sophisticated IVR voice system that we can possibly get, because we want the IVR to be able to recognize voice, to be able to make decisions on voice, to be able to provide information back to the customer,
right,
to do compliance validation for HIPAA. Like, if voice is dead, somebody has forgotten to tell the people making decisions for contact centers. Now, is it dying? Is it being replaced with digital? Yes, but it's not dead. It's just not. It's just not. And when we talk about OmniChannel, what we're really saying is, let's find the best from the customer perspective. What we're saying is, you need to provide me with a channel that I choose to make my interaction as easy as possible, right?
Right.
From the customer side, or from the company side, we're saying, I want to send you to the channel that's the least expensive, that still allows you to do what you're asking me to do. So we both have the same goal.
Right.
We just have to be effective in being able to manage the processes, and to be able to put technology in the hands of the agent to allow them to do that.
Yeah, and to that very point, I think this is often why it always seems like there is an explosion of all of these digital channels, and voice doesn't go down in the commensurate amount, right? Like, you and I have seen and talked about, like, your chat goes up by 10x, your voice doesn't go down, significantly, right? So it's like one of those, if it's dying, it's going to die a long, slow death, right? Like that's really what it is. It's not, if you're doing voice today, unless you turn the phone off, your voice is not going to zero overnight, no matter what you do on digital. Right. Like,
well, you also have to go where your customers want you to be. So, the customer I was working with is not a digitally focused company, right? So the opposite would be true for Walmart.com or for a e-commerce company.
correct.
Where I'm already in that channel. So
Right.
so keep me in that channel. I also had a demo this week from one of the vendors, one of the top 4 or 5 vendors out there, and I didn't realize anybody had done this. Surprised me, is that they have the ability now to move from a chat to click a button and to send a button to the customer, who then I'm sorry, to send a link to the customer, which then dials back to that agent. So I now have a true omni-channel experience because I was on chat. The agent can't quite understand what I'm doing or what I'm saying as a customer. They say, "Would you like, let's move this to phone." Well, if that happens in most cases, you got to call an 800 number and start over.
Right.
With this technology, you can send a link to the customer, who then automatically rings the phone of the
Wow.
agent that was helping you. So,
Wow.
okay, so now we're using voice to our advantage,
Right.
as a company, right? We're using it to the advantage of the customer because they need to explain something a little bit differently.
Wow.
So I was impressed with that new feature.
So going back to Omni for a second, a 2-part question. Do you have ideas of who is doing it well? There's no perfect, but like just in general, who's doing well, and then more importantly, what's the goal? Like what am I really shooting for with this whole omni-channel thing? Like where am I trying to get to? Like what am I aiming for?
Well, I think I mentioned before, the goal for the company is to reduce the cost and get you as a customer to the most effective, least expensive channel. And the goal for the customer is to get access to somebody when they need them, so that if I'm online making an order, I can connect with you via chat quickly. If I have a problem, I can dial into the call center. If I'm on my app, I can easily click a button and begin to text with you. If I'm on video, I can video and show you something that's a problem in my technology that you need as a technology company to see what I'm talking about.
Right.
My lawnmower broke and I need a part, and you can now say to the person, click this button and I'll turn your camera on, and then show me what your problem is,
Right.
or what part you're talking about. So what's the goal is to make all of that work seamlessly. So what's interesting about that, Amos, is, I don't know, I probably started talking about OmniChannel 15 years ago, 10 years ago. I lose track. Here we are in 2020, and talked to a customer yesterday that doesn't have really any channels other than phone, but they understand the value of it. They understand that that's where they need to go. They see the puck is not just they're trying to get to where the puck's going. They see that the puck is already at that end of the court, end of the what's it called when you're in hockey? Into the rink.
Yeah.
Into the rink. So the goal is to give the customer a better experience.
Right.
and who's doing it well? Are you talking about which clients are
Yeah,
doing it well, or which companies are doing it well?
What companies? I mean, I think about, I got to believe your e-commerce retail guys have to be front of line for this, right? Just because their customers are pushing them there, right? Like I want to order something on Best Buy or what have you, the ability to pick it up in store, call you, text you, da da da. I think I always put it this way, Bob. I think that the sales end of OmniChannel has progressed significantly better than the service end, right? So I can Famous Footwear, I buy shoes for my son there, right? Like I can start the transaction online, pick it up in store, return it online. I could go all kinds of different ways, and it feels pretty Omni for me when I'm purchasing the thing. It's on the back end of it that still feels very disjointed, right? Like I could have a whole conversation with someone on chat and then get to the store and they have no way of seeing that back and forth. So I feel like the closest people to it as a consumer are a lot of these online retailers. They seem to have made the most progress, particularly on the sales side.
Yeah, I think you're right. And coming from the operations side of the house, we all know that sales is where all the money is, right? I mean, they take the better trips. They go to the beach, and we go to Pizza Hut. So I mean, not that I have any bitterness in my career over choosing the operational side of the house as my career,
Yeah.
but yeah, a little bit of sales envy going on. But the reason why is because you can tie dollars to it.
Yeah.
It's dollars. I completed 4 more carts
Right.
because I added this technology. I was able to, so that doesn't surprise me. What we need to do is to catch up in the service world by focusing on one at a time. So if you're not doing phone well, adding a chat channel is not necessarily going to make you a better customer service organization.
Correct.
It may move some of your interactions to chat, but if you're not already doing phone well, now I've got another real-time channel that I've got to answer to. You know, the example yesterday, it was an hour and 20 minutes on one channel and 57 minutes on the other channel. At least they're consistent, relatively consistent, that they're offering the same level of service on channels. But who's doing it well? You're right. Another place that I think we need to talk about when we talk about channel is the self-service aspects of this.
Yeah.
And the proactive aspects of this. We sometimes forget that. We think, hey, how am I going to handle this inbound interaction? Well, what we also should be thinking about is, how am I going to eliminate this inbound interaction? Right? I mean, back in the day, if you wanted to track your FedEx package, you had to dial a number and give them your address, and they would look up your package. And you can imagine that program couldn't have continued as the company grew. So they figured out how to digitally send you an email. And if I remember correctly, I got an email from you from the shipper that confused me, because it said, I ordered a package from a company in Knoxville. I live in Memphis and my package is in Chicago. Okay, well that made me even more nervous. Why did that happen?
Right.
But they've now gotten it down to where your package is going to arrive between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. on 2 days from now. Now I don't need that phone call. So what can you take out of your contact center? Because if you take things out that are not necessary, or things that you can move to another channel, especially a proactive channel, then you can make time for your agents that you have to do the work that they need to do, the hard calls, the tougher calls, the more engagement.
Now, totally makes sense. Before I let you go, I want to talk about emergent channels or this particular emergent channel. I remember when online chat used to be an emergent channel, and now
Yep.
it's a must-have and all of that. So I think the one that I keep hearing about now is video, and would love your perspective on that. Sounds like a lot of things, COVID maybe accelerating it. So let me give you my perspective quickly, which is that it's clear now we've been thrust into video as a channel internally, right? Like that has now gone mainstream. Like, and if you're listening to this and you don't know you're already doing it, that's what your Zoom or your WebEx, that's exactly what that is, right? You've started supporting people video at scale. I think this question for you is really, is this the moment for video to the end customer side? I remember maybe even 7 years ago. It's been a while, Bob. I was at Hertz back when we used to rent cars. And I remember at the customer, whatever deal at the airport, you go into a kiosk and there was a video and you talk to someone who was at the contact center, which I thought was like, whew, mind blowing. And it never went anywhere. Like I remember writing about, hey, this might be something, and it just didn't become a thing. Do you think this is a moment for video?
Well, I mean, it's definitely a moment that we've all begun to use video, whether you want to or not. I mean, who hasn't in the last couple of weeks said, hey, my Wi-Fi's messed up, so I'm not going to be on video for this call. When in reality, you just didn't get up and take a shower that morning and you don't really want to be on video. Right. So could it be? Absolutely. Could it become the norm? Absolutely. I think that video maybe becomes more tagged to something like what I said earlier, where, for instance, an example this week, company that has home medical devices in households across America. All right. So you've got a medical device that you've got a patient who's home health, and you typically send somebody out once a quarter to check that device, right?
Right.
Can't do that anymore. Because why? Because you may be bringing COVID into that house. So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to rethink the way you do it, and you're going to know that there's 5 things that someone checks, and you're going to open up video into your support realm, and you're going to now have the patient caregiver walk over with their phone and show you what the filter looks like, or show you what the tube looks like, or show you, what the gauge or the screen says. So that's video for a purpose versus what you're talking about, which is just video for the sake of video. Hertz probably had that because they thought that they could eliminate the cost of bringing somebody into the airport. Right. The cost of we've got a regional bank here in Memphis that has one of their locations is all video. There's no live tellers.
Right.
So you walk up to the kiosk. I think we've all seen that at an ATM where you can walk up.
Right.
Again, video for a purpose.
Right.
I just don't. Well, first of all, we talked last week. I don't think that we're ever going away from work at home again.
Right.
I think we're going to see a lot of people move to work at home agents that always before said it wasn't possible. So now you're going to question, do I want my agent? I've sent them home. Do I want them on video?
Right.
So there's a whole lot of questions about it, but I think video is more likely to be seen where it has a purpose than just for the sake of me being able to see you.
Right. Right. Like that, it has to be playing a role in this interaction, right? Like
right.
I need the video to see versus just for fun. I want to just see your face.
But you know what, man? I remember, we'll end with this probably, but I remember in the 90s, mid 90s or something like that, I was working for Bell South Mobility, which eventually became AT&T, and we got something called a Simon. And it actually is, if you look it up, SIMON, it's the precursor of the iPhone. It was built by Motorola, I believe. But I remember the guy coming over to my cube and telling me about texting. And he was like, yeah, what we're going to do is on your phone, you're going to be able to send a message to somebody, and you're going to be able to type it into your phone, and you're going to send a message, and they're going to send you a message back. And I'm like, dude, why would I ever send a text message to somebody if I can pick up the phone? Like, I'm literally holding a phone in my hand, and I'm gonna send a typewritten message to them, and they're gonna message me back. And he goes, yep, it's gonna become the biggest thing since cell phone. And I went, you're out of your mind. So far, it's just a good thing. So I don't know what's really going to happen. Video may become the de facto. We may all live our lives on Zoom for the rest of our lives, dude. We may very well be at Zoom forever, because God knows that texting is my preference of choice. I don't ever want to talk to somebody. So,
and you're not one of those millennials, right?
Right. No, I'm an old guy. Thank you. I appreciate you ending with that bit of information.
All right. Well, Bob, on that note, thanks again for a great conversation. And everyone will post this here, and Bob's info is going to be on. So if you guys want to connect with them on Twitter or on LinkedIn. So
you know what, man? I had somebody connect with me on LinkedIn the other day, and we actually had a 30-minute conversation about the industry, and just a really cool conversation. Somebody that I'd never met before that found me on LinkedIn through this. So yeah, I love the connections through this podcast.
Awesome. All right, Bob, we'll talk to you next week, and everyone else, we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.
And until next time, remember, the experience is either random or intentionally curated. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to The Curated Experience with Amos Tanuma. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll join the conversation online by visiting us at curatedcx.com or at amostanuma.com. That's curatedcx.com or AMASTENUMAH.com. And please invite your friends and colleagues to visit our website or iTunes, where they can check this and previous podcasts. This has been a Bien LLC production. Check us next time for another edition of The Curated Experience.